Our story begins with distorted video footage. The name Chloe gets spoken a few times, along with a warning about someone needing to be careful. Then a girl wakes up on a bus from that memory-induced dream. She is Chloe, our protagonist. The young lady happens to be deaf. As we focus on her, we get to experience how soundless her world is. Soon, she sits in the waiting room of a hospital. She fills out the form, and we learn she lost her hearing at the young age of 8 years. Shortly after, Chloe sits in the doctor's office, texting her father. When the doctor walks in, she starts talking to Chloe. At that moment, our soundless world becomes permeated with sound. We are allowed to hear the important exchanges that our protagonist must go through. As the doctor speaks, Chloe's phone writes what she says through a voice app for Chloe to read. The girl starts speaking too, but she can't hear herself. She talks surprisingly well, for someone who has not heard sounds for most of her life. The doctor asks her why she's doing this. We find out that Chloe is there to undergo a procedure to regain her hearing. The doctor asked her because regaining a sense can be difficult. It's not simple to start hearing again after many years of silence. Chloe replies that she remembers hearing sounds. Silence is just something she adjusted to. The next scene has her undergoing the procedure. We watch how a needle enters her ear. After it is done, Chloe lies in bed with pads on her ears. The doctor informs her it could be weeks until they see the results, although there is also a chance the procedure could end up being unsuccessful. Once she is left alone, we return to Chloe's soundless world. After that, she stands on a boat. She texts her father when she stands on land again, saying she will message him upon her arrival at a certain house. She then rides in a car. For some reason, the driver talks to her. The man should know that she can't hear him. Following this, Chloe arrives at the house. While she stands on the porch, she gets a flashback of her childhood. We see a lifeless bird, in addition to Chloe yelling out to her mom. It seems like this house is her childhood home. Her entering it shows us how empty it is. She has to enter every room, even the garage, to remember how things were. Chloe messages her dad. He tells her he could come sooner if she wants him to. He also says a man named Hank could stop by to get the water heater started. Later, she walks outside to enter a store. The only thing we need to see there is a missing person poster. The young lady on it looks a lot like Chloe. One man, whose face we do not see, notices Chloe there. He even exits the store to watch her walk away. We wonder if he knows her from somewhere. At night, she sits in her childhood house, in silence and darkness. With no lights yet, she resorts to using candles. She very faintly hears some sounds. Then she turns on the television. Lucky for her, she does not get to hear the loud static. Chloe starts watching an old movie on videotape. Despite it being very distorted, she watches it anyway. Afterward, she comes to the window to look at the house across from her. A good distance away, she sees an unsettling silhouette of someone standing beside their window. It looks like the person could be looking Chloe's way, but it's too far away to tell. This might be the reason why Chloe decides to lock her door with the chain and shut her windows. On top of that, she even grabs a knife. In the washroom, Chloe takes some pills, which she follows by placing drops into her ears. Going to bed, she puts the knife beside her. If she gets an unwanted visitor, it's right there for her to use. As she sleeps, the TV starts turning on downstairs. It doesn't get past static. Subsequently, we see a young Chloe being outside again. She picks up the lifeless bird and screams out to her mom. During the daytime, Chloe looks through family photos. While she does, she gets startled by a man's presence at the door. It prompts her to turn on the voice-to-text app on her phone. After she tells the man to repeat himself, he introduces himself as Hank, the man her dad called to come to fix her heating system. At that point, we exit Chloe's soundless world to hear him. Once he stands inside the house, Hank says he remembers her as a little girl. They exchange a few more words before he starts working. Finished with the heating system, Hank gets asked if he can fix the car engine too. Before he leaves, Chloe tells him she saw a light on in the other house at night. According to him, it could be renters or even squatters. There's a problem with squatters there, he says. Following this, she watches some home videos inside the house. The footage is highly distorted. At night, she lies in bed until a light turns on near her window. It makes the girl take up her knife to prepare herself for such an unnerving situation. Downstairs, she retrieves a flashlight. When she stands outside, the lights that bothered her turn off. Chloe uses her flashlight to bravely look around, but she locates nothing. On the next day, she uses the car Hank made operational to drive somewhere. A young man surprises her with his presence. He knows who she is, proving it by saying her name. They used to play together as kids. After he says his name is Joshua, he asks if she remembers him. Chloe does. He knows about her hearing loss, which makes him ask whether she can hear him because she's doing well by responding to him quickly. However, she shows him the voice-to-text app on her phone. Over the years, she made it look like she can hear, though she's just proficient with her technology. Joshua then takes his childhood friend into his house, where we instantly see his mother sitting in a wheelchair. His mom introduces herself as Ellen, someone who used to watch over Chloe in the latter's toddler years. Chloe says her father will return in a few weeks. They are trying to sell the house. Once Ellen starts saying something about Chloe's mother, she can't bring herself to finish the sentence. We can guess she went through something awful. Whatever happened, Chloe says it's still tough on her dad. Ellen's last words to the girl are that she looks a lot like her mom. It's like seeing a ghost. At that moment, we could believe that the missing person poster we saw at the store pertains to her mother. Shortly after, Joshua shows her a photo of the two of them as kids. Chloe remembers it. Back at her house, she watches more old footage of her family. Suddenly, she hears her name getting called, so she places her ear against the TV. What's happening is a complete mystery. The television, it seems, is capable of giving her something. Going upstairs, Chloe hears her name called, yet no one is there for her to see. The scene changes to show us someone else. A young lady locks up a store. She texts somebody, telling him she will be home soon. When she walks to her car, someone appears there, dressed in black, to slam her head against the vehicle. The person follows this action by placing her inside and viciously attacking her. Perhaps there is some connection between this happening and the disappearance of Chloe's mother. Right after this, Chloe opens her eyes in bed. It's possible that she sensed something. In the morning, she wakes up to something miraculous, hearing sounds. The birds chirping, the squeaks of her bed, all the ambient sounds amaze her. She says, "Hey," to hear her own voice. The world of sound is now accessible to Chloe. We watch how she takes delight in all the little things, like listening to the humming of the refrigerator, along with hearing how the water runs from the faucet. Hearing popcorn pop in the microwave must be more entertaining than any movie one might watch while eating it. Of course, then comes the main experience that sound can bring, hearing music. Chloe's ear is glued to the radio as it delivers her ears the sound of ragtime. Afterward, she calls her father to say she can hear him, holding back tears of joy. The man is at a loss for words. His daughter can finally hear again, after many years of being deaf. Soon, she returns to the hospital to get her hearing tested. The doctor informs her there is activity in 80% of her damaged cells. She expresses awe at Chloe's rate of progress. As a doctor who knows when something is unusual in her area, she is nothing short of amazed with our heroine's results. Shortly after returning home, Chloe witnesses a police car riding by at a respectable speed with its siren on. This grabs the girl's attention. She walks on the road, and Joshua appears there to surprise her. He says another person has gone missing. "This place does things to people," he adds, though he does not specify exactly what. While Chloe walks away, he realizes he just spoke to her normally. She didn't look at her phone to read from the app. At home, Chloe continues to watch the home videos. After turning off the television, she looks at the house across from hers. It looks like a party is happening there. Then she starts calling someone on her phone, yet she only hears strange static. It seems to have some effect on her hearing, causing ringing. In the washroom, she places more drops in her ears, like the doctor recommended. She experiences dizziness in a few seconds. In her bedroom, we see the knife is still there on her cabinet. As she puts earplugs in her ears, one falls under the bed, so she goes to retrieve it. By putting her head against the floor, she hears strange noises. Other parts of the floor don't give those sounds, just that one special spot. It prompts her to start cutting the floor with her knife. She keeps hearing the sounds, though one particular voice appears, which is unusually static-filled and loud. The next scene has Chloe driving somewhere, where she looks at a bulletin of missing people. Hank appears to start talking to her. It seems to be his work area, because he lets her inside his office. She admits to him that she forgot how noisy the world is. He has no choice except to agree with that. She says she saw him in a police uniform in the old photos at her house. He confirms he once was a policeman. At that point, he also says they looked for Chloe's missing mother. It saddens both of them that the topic got brought up. That was the last time Chloe remembers hearing anything. However, she still hears her mom's voice. After that, Hank says he saw her with Joshua. He warns her that she should be careful with that boy, along with his mother. A few years ago, some pets went missing. Hank thinks Joshua had something to do with their disappearance. The last thing we see Chloe say is her innocently asking if he has a drill she can borrow. The following scene shows her using a drill on the floor in her house. She places her ear in the hole she created to keep hearing those distorted sounds. After her ear comes her flashlight. It shines through the hole onto a spot on the floor downstairs. Down there, Chloe has to see if anything can be heard from this new spot. So she puts her ear against it to receive a considerably louder sound that scares her away. It even causes bleeding in her ear. She draws an X on the light spot to remember where it is. Shortly after, she sees a light turn on in the other house. It makes her go outside with her flashlight, where she knocks on the door. The girl even tries to open the door. Since it's locked, she resorts to entering from the side using a sliding glass door. The interior is covered in plastic wrappings. Asking if anyone is there, Chloe does not receive an answer. The atmosphere is chilling, with her just standing there. It gets even worse when she starts making her way through. She ascends to the upper level to enter a room where a lamp sits on the floor. She has to wonder who turned it on. It is very strange indeed, but nothing else happens, making her leave. Later, Chloe wakes up on the floor inside her house. She hears voices again. Holding a photo of her with her mom makes her cry. She then calls the doctor, leaving a message to say she thinks something is wrong with the procedure she underwent. There is bleeding and ringing in her ears, Chloe says. After leaving the message, she falls asleep near the X she marked. Doing so seems to give her an interesting dream. In the morning, her dad calls her. As he talks, she finds a wire taped to the desk. It looks like it could be used by someone to spy on the house by listening to what goes on in there. Soon, static starts taking over the phone conversation. It sounds like her father's voice turns into her mother's, telling Chloe she has to go back to bed. A knock on the door gets her mind away from this strange happening. Chloe approaches it with caution, but becomes relieved upon hearing it's the doctor who came to visit her. In the next scene, the doctor inspects Chloe's ears. She wants the girl to understand that she's the only one to show positive results. However, she expresses apprehension because she hears some things that aren't there. The doctor tells her some people experience auditory hallucinations with cochlear implants. It's not rare. Of course, Chloe's procedure was different. She doesn't have such implants, though the phenomenon shouldn't be too different. Afterward, the duo sit at a bar, talking more casually with each other. Chloe says she was the last person to see her mom before she vanished. Chloe was also in a coma for 6 months due to meningitis. When she came out of it, she lost 2 important things: her hearing plus her mom. Her mom's voice was the only clear sound she could remember. We learn it's the reason she decided to undergo the procedure. She thought if she could hear again, she would stop hearing her mom calling her back to the house. Once the doctor asks if she can still hear her mother, Chloe lies that she does not. Then they both return to the house. This is when the doctor starts telling her that Chloe wasn't completely honest. She was taking antidepressants during her operation. As the doctor keeps talking, Chloe starts to experience ringing in her ears. It doesn't take long for the doctor's words to become blurred to the point of incomprehension. Soon enough, Chloe regains herself and says she's sorry about not telling the doctor about her prescription. After going to the washroom to vomit, the doctor enters it to find the girl sitting on the floor. Her ears won't stop ringing, Chloe says. There is also a bloody cotton swab on the floor. In the morning, Chloe wakes up in disappointment. She calls out to the doctor, yet she can neither see nor hear her. Going outside to call someone, maybe the doctor, Chloe sees someone again at the house across from hers. That someone looks like it could be Joshua. He gets in his truck to drive away. That prompts her to drive too, arriving at Joshua's place. She knocks on the door, which is open. Our heroine takes this opportunity to enter her childhood friend's house. One of the first things she sees in there is quite disturbing. A lifeless bird lies on the table that looks like it's being studied. After that, she enters a room with several monitors showing different places. While she looks at them in confusion, Joshua stands behind her. He starts talking, causing her to turn around. Upon asking him what all these instruments are, he says she can hear him. Seeing that the monitors show different areas of her house, Chloe is flabbergasted with him watching her. Joshua's defense is that he saw something at her house months ago. Since that time, he has been observing it to understand what it is. At that point, he sits behind one of the monitors, telling her about the frequencies that surround them, ones that no one can hear. No one except for her. It's a spirit world, Joshua says. He lets her listen to an ultrasound that can pick up frequencies beyond their senses. Then he rhetorically asks her why she came back. We see the monitor displaying recorded footage of Chloe walking outside with her flashlight. At the window, there occurs an inexplicable glitch, and the ultrasound emits a blurred voice. Joshua knows that her mom called her there. All of this fuels her with anger, and she threatens to call the police if she sees him near her house. He tries to reason with her, but she won't have it. Chloe returns home to find the television emitting static. That's a wonderfully unnerving thing to return home to. She sits down to witness distorted footage of her mother. It causes the ringing in her ears to come back. Soon, the TV mom calls out Chloe's name. To make our situation extra unsettling, she starts walking toward her daughter, asking if it's her. She can see Chloe, telling her she got big. Shortly after, the distortions start going out of control and her mom screams in fear. Following this, Chloe wakes up on a couch in a different place. It seems like her experience with the TV had quite an impact on her, making her lose consciousness. The world has returned to silence. However, one sharp sound takes place, which makes her sit up. She is surprised to see Hank there. When he starts talking, her hearing slowly activates again. He informs her that her dad called him to come and check on her. He found Chloe on the floor with bleeding ears. Supposedly, he took her back to his home to give her peace. Hank lets her know there's a storm out there. In the meantime, he recommends that she relax. Left alone, Chloe looks at a photo from the wall that has Hank standing with Alman. Unfolding it reveals another man standing with them. It's uncertain what the photo means. Chloe starts putting on her shoes, and the lights go out momentarily. Once they get back on, Hank stands at the doorway. Chloe feels dizzy, so he tells her to sit. He adds she is safe there with him. Yet there is such tension in the air that we can just feel the weight of his lies. Feeling great discomfort, Chloe runs to the washroom to vomit. Meanwhile, Hank holds her phone as her father calls her. When he declines the call, we know something is seriously wrong. The man takes the to the next level by taking out the phone's SIM card and destroying it. But Chloe did not need to witness any of that to know she needs to escape. Waiting for her, Hank starts putting on black gloves. He also talks to himself, saying he can hear them, the people he took care of, to use his words. As the maniac speaks, Chloe escapes through the washroom window. He gets a utility knife ready and puts his ear against the door. Much to his bad luck, our heroine is already running away outside, unbeknownst to him. Hank breaks through the door at a humiliatingly late time to discover she's not there. While Chloe runs inside the woods, he drives his truck to find her. She ends up entering a house where a lady is hanging. Chloe keeps hiding in fear, hearing Hank yell out to her. How unfortunate her situation has turned out to be. The man she thought was there to help is now a danger. All signs even point to him being the one who took her mom away. Shortly after, she exits the house to run inside the dark woods again. It doesn't take long for her to return home. Chloe starts searching for something in a hurry, perhaps for a weapon. At that moment, the television turns on to switch her attention to the screen. It shows the girl what she needs to see, Hank coming at her mother to claim her life. As the TV shows him, reality does too. The criminal enters the house. Chloe trembles in fear mixed with fury upon seeing him. She tries to plead with him. After he says she even sounds like her mom, Chloe becomes so visibly angry that she tries reaching for a nearby knife. Unfortunately, the wicked man prevents her from that luxury. He holds her against a wall and wishes she could only hear what he does. He follows this by dragging her into another room. When he gets on top of her, there is a knock on the door. Joshua enters the house looking for his friend. She yells out to him, which makes Hank smack her. He restrains the poor girl to the bed before leaving the room to deal with their guest. Hank comes to Joshua, pretending that he's there to help, though soon he discards his pretense and stabs him. In the meantime, Chloe struggles to free herself until she succeeds. Hank then returns to the room to witness that the girl is not there. Looking under the bed makes him vulnerable to Chloe, who uses that time to exit the closet and stab a knife into his back. For some reason, she doesn't finish the job, she just runs away. She runs to the injured Joshua to tell him they have to go. While there, she experiences intense ringing again. Soon, Hank comes to them. We notice they are all in a state of great discomfort. No one gets out of this without a good dose of damage. Chloe finally takes the knife on the table, the one she tried reaching for earlier. But instead of using it, the TV turns on, interrupting them with a loud static. As justice would have it, it's Chloe's mom taking revenge against him while simultaneously protecting her daughter. The man is forced to hold his ears in pain from the highly distorted sounds that attack him. He becomes vulnerable to Chloe's attack once more. This time, she finishes the maniac off. She comes to look at him, and he puts his hand on her head. Thankfully, it doesn't go past that. His life leaves him seconds later. Chloe tries using Joshua's phone to call 911, yet the ringing takes hold of her again. She turns around to see something we do not. Supposedly, she sees her mom. She repeatedly tells her daughter to say, "Happy 4th of July." The home video that Chloe watched many times was oriented around that holiday, which is why her mother says those words. So Chloe says the phrase, concluding everything.